This video series is very informative and some material presented may be disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Is what added up to that 95% efficacy rate. This, by the way, means that in a vaccinated population, 95% fewer people will contract the disease when they come in contact with the virus. Not that each individual is 95% immune, but that efficacy rate was calculated during a specific time and under a specific set of circumstances. Many people were staying at home, avoiding large gatherings, wearing masks, and the virus hadn't mutated as much. Vaccine effectiveness, on the other hand, is how well a vaccine works in the real world, outside of clinical settings, where it's harder to control variables that were constant in a study, like when people get their vaccines.
We know the real world is kind of messy. Not everybody gets their vaccines at the exact interval. Not everybody has the same kind of immune system.
And behavior is changing too. In many places, businesses are open and large gatherings are happening again. This is part of why efficacy numbers in trials are often higher than the effectiveness we see in the real world. And what makes this all the more complicated is that the virus itself is still evolving. The Delta variant, which has become dominant in multiple countries, is more transmissible than earlier strains of the virus, which means that more people will come in contact with it. It became dominant months after the vaccines had been authorized and millions of doses had been distributed. That means our current shots were designed for an earlier version of the coronavirus and don't work as well against Delta. This is part of why we're hearing more about breakthrough cases. U.S. states counted over 190,000 breakthrough cases between January 1st and early August this year. That's among millions who are already vaccinated. And remember that Israeli study? Data was collected for it in June and July, when Delta was dominant there. Health officials saw breakthrough cases.
Now, those breakthrough cases, I'm still trying to figure this out. 190 plus thousand breakthrough cases. What's a breakthrough case? A person who has been vaccinated and still got COVID. You heard about Chris Rock. Now, some people say, well, Chris Rock got the J&J. Now, this is my theory. I could be wrong, but I was still trying to do some research and I couldn't find that. And hopefully maybe he might come up later and say exactly what happened. Because this is what I'm thinking. What does fully vaccinated mean? If a person gets, let's start from the beginning. A person gets Pfizer and then 21 days later, they get their second dose. And then let's say about a month, up to a month, I say you're fully vaccinated. And then if you get boosted because, these other variants, and then wait another couple weeks up to a month, I say you're really fully vaccinated and prepared for these other variants. Same thing with Moderna. You get your first shot, 28 days later, your second dose, and maybe about a month later, you're fully vaccinated. I got my shot. Now, I'm not knocking Dolly Parton because she got a shot on TV. And it was like, she was singing. I said, but you're not fully vaccinated. You got to go through. But I guess that was just a gesture to say, I'm going to go all the way through. And then, of course, you get your booster. J&J, you get your shot. And around 28 days later, you're fully vaccinated. But then 6 months later, you get your booster and boom, against these variants, you're fully vaccinated. But I like the concept that you're fully vaccinated once your body builds up the antibody levels and the immunity. That takes weeks. You have to look at fully vaccinated as not when you got the shot, but time after you got your shot. And a lot of people don't know that. You need to know that because I think Chris Rock got his shot. This one and done, the J&J. And he went and he hang out with people. I'm crack-a-lacking, whatever he's doing, he hanging out with people. And I'm thinking, no, but I can't not blame him because maybe he's not been informed about that. That's what I'm thinking. Because he didn't know about the fully vaccinated part. Fully vaccinated means your body has some time to build the immunity, the antibody level. That's weeks later, maybe even up to a month. But a lot of people don't know that. But now you do. If you didn't know, now you know. So think about it from that perspective. So when you go and you get your vaccines, try to practice social distancing a little bit. Wearing your mask if you got to get out and about. And then think about keeping up your own immunity. So you're working with the vaccines, with your own immunity, drinking plenty of water, getting plenty of rest, not getting so stressed out. Anxiety and depression works just the same almost on your immune system. You got to think about stuff like that. Okay, but we're going to finish up, but just keep that in mind because a lot of people are getting breakthrough cases, but I'm not hearing who. Like, yeah, I got one for J&J, but were they fully vaccinated? And what about the other people for the mRNA with the Moderna and Pfizer? Are there some breakthrough cases more lopsided toward that way and not as much toward J&J? I'm not hearing one way or the other, so I don't even know. I wish that I can get more comments and say, oh, I had the J&J. I was fully vaccinated. I couldn't know what I just said. And I was wearing my mask and stuff like that, and boom, I still got it. Because I just heard on the radio on Joan Esposito. This one guy, I forgot his name. He's somebody famous. He said, yeah, I was double vaccinated. So he already told on himself. He just basically said he got the mRNA. I was double vaccinated. I was boosted. I wore my mask, and I still got Omicron. That's what he said. I was like, whoa. But he wasn't hospitalized. He had a level of protection. That's what I'm saying. Keep that in mind. Let's continue.
Were more likely among people who had gotten the vaccine early on, in January or February. This is partly because antibodies, which the body produces after the vaccine to protect itself against the virus, naturally decrease over time. That, along with the unknowns about variants, is a big reason why the Biden administration announced new vaccine recommendations.
We are announcing our plan to stay ahead of this virus by being prepared to offer COVID-19 booster shots to fully vaccinated adults 18 years and older.
What we want to do is make sure that we keep that immunity high enough so when it starts to wane, we want to make sure that people are able to get that third shot.
That should increase the chances that the vaccines prevent severe illness that could then lead to hospitalization and death. Still, there's some debate among public health experts as to whether booster shots are needed right now. That's because antibodies are not the body's only defense against the virus. There are also certain immune cells that prepare the body to fight off pathogens, and those may not be waning. And while breakthrough cases continue to occur, experts say that these cases are usually mild and don't result in severe illness. Let's go back to that Israeli data that showed that the Pfizer vaccine is now only 40% effective against symptomatic COVID. Well, that same study showed that the vaccine had a 91% effectiveness against hospitalization and death.
The vaccine really, what it does is help us slow the speeding car, and it helps us to reduce transmission, and that is what's going to get us out of this pandemic.
In addition to vaccines, experts also recommend preventive measures like mask wearing and social distancing to keep the virus from spreading and mutating further.
Yeah. So, I just thought that was very informative. Hopefully, you all will understand a little bit more about this. I mean, we're going to continue this because there's going to be certain segments. I just want to share something, though. This is something to think about. People right now are, I guess, afraid of getting vaccinated. This COVID Corner is for you. But more specifically, people who are on the fence, just maybe considering some things, and they're not quite sure. They're not really against vaccines, but they just need a little bit more information. Well, this is to provide that little bit more information. Now, you're probably thinking, well, the way you just painted Pfizer and Moderna and the other stuff, it's like, man, how can you make a decision? No. God gave us a mind, He gave us power, love, and sound mind. We have that ability to think and rationalize things, okay? So that's what you are going to do with this information, because this information is very important. It's a lot of it you probably haven't heard of before. But at the same time, I'm hearing other information that's not in the news, more like from, I would say, respected people, maybe ministers, maybe scientists, and they're saying that the vaccines have what you call possible nanotechnology. I'm hearing that. I'm seeing that. People that I have a lot of respect for and regard for, but when you break it down, and I like to analyze stuff, and I'm seeing these different things. I mean, should I say the person's name? Should I say the person's name? I'm not gonna say the person's name. I'm gonna give that person that much respect. But I'm looking at it like you're scaring people. See, God did not give us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. We got to remember that. We are not full of fear. We're not fearful, you know? I mean, I might not even be fearless, but I got some courage, you know? And I like to rationalize and weigh things out, you know? And I just move forward based upon that. And I walk in faith. That's what the walk was all about, you know, when I was doing the walk. So I'm looking at, why are you stoking fear in people? I don't know if these type of people think that they're doing that. Maybe they're not aware that they're doing that. But I'm seeing the effects, and I'm seeing people, and I'm not going to mention people's names, but I'm seeing the effects of hearing all kinds of stuff, you know. And like I said before, like Ari Melber said, know what you know and know what you don't know. And if you don't know, don't say it, because anybody can say, it's possible. This is how you say, it's possible. It's possible. A lot of things are possible. It's possible I could stand up to a cliff and walk off the cliff. That's possible. Now, the probability or the likelihood is, no, I'm going to keep my butt at home. I'm just saying, I'm not going to put myself at risk. So why stoke fear and tell people it's possible that they can use nanotechnology, nanobots, and things of that nature? It's possible they can control you and things of that nature. Why would you do that? Possibilities. Yeah, I got it. What's about the probability? Below this video, I'm going to put the CDC site, and they're going to tell you what is exactly in it, in these vaccines. I kind of jumped ahead, but I just want to mention it so I won't forget. What's in the vaccines and what's not in the vaccines. But what I want to do right now is I want to explain not that part. I'm going to go over the part to show you who the vaccines were tested on. All three. Yeah, all three vaccines. Because we're going to go back to that. So, in the clinical trials, vaccine clinical trials, I want y'all to see this. Okay. Right there. Y'all might not be able to see it, but at the top, you have AstraZeneca, then you have Pfizer, then you have Moderna, and then you have this one from Russia, and then you have J&J, and then some other one, and then Sinovac. Okay, so let's keep it on there for a moment, and let's go to the next one. Right. Now, this one right here, we just crossed out what's not important, because what's important is Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J. Why? Because we're Americans. I mean, I know some other people from other countries might see this and say, okay, all vaccines are still effective. Let's go over this. You have at the top Pfizer. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, at the top you have Pfizer. And you see how many people they had did their trials on. Now, I know according to the video it said like 40+ thousand. Here it says 36,000. I'm not sure how they got that number. I guess there was the early numbers or whatever. And then the next one says Moderna, the 28,000. And then you have the Johnson & Johnson, 38,000. So there's more people that were tested with the J&J according to this, okay? I mean, I'm going to make this available. Okay, but look at this. The Pfizer says the U.S., 76%. Argentina, 15%. Brazil, 6%. South Africa, 2%. That's pretty well-rounded. Not bad. But this is what I have a problem with. Look at Moderna. USA. I know you can see that if you're looking at my chart. USA. Where are the other countries? You know our borders are not shut down. People come from all over the world into America. And it doesn't even have a number next to the USA. Maybe because it's a high I guess a high efficacy rate for the Moderna for U.S. But remember, we got all kinds of countries coming up in here. But this is where I wanted to draw your attention. J&J, not just in the USA, not just in Brazil, not just South Africa. No, Colombia, Argentina, Peru, Chile, and Mexico. I'm not making this stuff up. I mean, that's the reason why I think J&J might be the most superior of the vaccines, because they are tested all around the world. It's something to think about. I wanted to share that because a lot of people did not know that. And look at the numbers. I'm sorry. The numbers say Brazil. Now, we know Brazil is second worst cases of the COVID in the world, right? Look at Brazil. Pfizer, only 6%. Well, J&J says 17%. Oh, that's a big difference. I'm sorry. Now, South Africa, okay, they're starting to come up. 2% for Pfizer. Wait for it. 13% for J&J for South Africa. And then we got Colombia, Argentina, Peru, Chile, and Mexico. It's something to think about. I mean, I know the number up there is high for USA because it said 76%, and then the J&J says 47%. But we're talking about worldwide. We got variants all over. Remember, we got the Gamma and the Lambda. And I don't know exactly how that is going because I've seen the Lambda under the microscope thing, and it looks like deadly. I'm not sure how virulent a lot of these other ones are, but let's focus on what we do know. We do know the Delta is deadly, more deadly than novel. And we know that the Omicron is more contagious, 4 times more contagious than Delta. So I'm not trying to confuse you and say that Omicron is not as strong, because technically I guess it's not. But being a smart bug, maybe it said we don't need to. We just want to spread our love easily. Okay, so let's go over some of these global numbers right quick. Look at this. Bam, that was last week. 279 million plus cases worldwide. That was last week. And look at the deaths. 5.3 million, almost 5.4 million deaths worldwide. COVID. Okay? Look this week. It went up. I mean, I'm not going to get too deep into the numbers, but it went up. And you see it on the chart. But I want to draw your attention to this one because this concerns me. We're in the U.S. 52 million since last week, because I was going to do this last week, but I'm doing it this week. And that was the cases, and 816,000. See, that upsets me so bad because I know that number could have been much lower. And that's the deaths. And then, of course, the 28 days at 38,000 deaths in the last 28 days from COVID in America. That's messed up. 3.7 million new cases in the past 28 days. Okay, keep that in mind. 52 million new cases. 52 million total cases. 816,000 deaths in America. Okay, now look. You went up 2 more million new cases and almost 10,000 more deaths from COVID in America. Now we got 329 million roughly people in America. That's almost like 1 in 6. 1 in 6 maybe? Like 16%. America's like, it's almost like you be in a room with people. And it's like 6 of you all in the room. It's almost like you can look at 1 of y'all got COVID. And those numbers are going to keep rising. So then it may be 1 in 4. That's bad. I don't even want to go over that number. I just want to show you how bad America is. Now look at this. I want to show y'all something. Look at this. This is China. They ain't making this up. This is real. The total cases in China, 113,000. The total deaths, 4,849. In the past 28 days, 0 deaths and only 2,397 new cases in the past 28 days. This is 1.4 billion with a B people. That's the 2020, census. But that's messed up. That was last week. You thinking that the number's going to go up like they did with America? 2 million more cases, 10,000 more deaths, right? Look at this. What changed? What changed? The cases went up maybe a couple thousand, maybe. The deaths still 0. This is China. This is something to consider. What are we doing wrong? Because this is messed up. I know it's a communistic country. I got all that. But somehow there's a system in place for the welfare of the people so they won't be getting sick and die. We ain't got that in America. I don't know what's going on with us. These people getting vaccinated. These people wearing their masks. They practice social distancing. They're doing their thing. What are we doing? We got millions. They got only 100,000 roughly. We got 54 million cases of COVID. 54 million. We got almost 1 million deaths. Look, they got more people than us. 1.4 billion. We got 329 million. This is bad. Let's see the next one. This is Iran. Okay. Numbers kind of up there. Okay, I just want y'all to see that, okay? And just look at the comparison. I'm not going to just read it off. What's the next week? What's that? This week. See, it didn't move too much. What's going on? That's Iran. Okay, what's next? Philippines. I like this one. Well, I don't like this one. Is that real? The deaths in the past 28 days? Okay. It says, 3,000 deaths, but, 3,000 deaths, in the past 28 days. Okay, but they have 51,000 deaths total, but they got 109 million people though. That's still not as bad as America. I mean, when you look at the average, per capita, okay? And then what's this week? Yeah, it didn't move that much. So it seemed like they kind of like trying to get better now. Okay, what's next? Japan. Okay, total deaths, 18,000. They got 125 million people. But look at that, 29 deaths in the past 28 days. We had almost 10,000 in the past 28 days. I mean, no. We got 38,000. Is that what we got? 36,000 in the past 28 days, right? They got 29. This is bad. I mean, this is good for them, bad for us. Okay, what else? Yeah, 29, still 20. Okay, next. Look, Taiwan. They got 23 million people there. 850 total deaths, period. In the past 28 days, 2 people died. That's it. 307 new cases in the past 28 days. Total cases complete, 16,000, roughly. It didn't move that much. The deaths are still the same. That's Taiwan. I mean, this is something. This is bad. And I don't think I have this one up, but is there anything else? That's it. Saudi Arabia. Okay, that's still low compared. Okay. Yeah, that's low. And I think we're done on that, right? There's more? What you got? New Zealand. That's low. Y'all see those numbers. 49 total deaths. 13,000 cases. Next. Yeah, it went up 2 people. I'm just saying. Total deaths, 51. 14,000. Yeah, they got 5 million people though. Still, that's a lot of people. 5 million, but those cases. I mean, it's crazy because I'm looking at why are we so out there with our numbers, deaths and cases, and some of these civilized countries, not even including North Korea. I know people say, oh, you shouldn't include North Korea. Well, maybe we should consider them too, because I mean, I'm not talking about the communistic aspect of it, but I'm talking about people trying to hate on North Korea as far as the numbers because they ain't got no numbers. I mean, that's what's said. I don't know if that's true totally, but I can see if it could be true, because look, ain't nobody getting up in there. No, they got that place on lockdown. And not to make a joke, but ain't nobody getting out either. So it's like they got that place on lockdown. I don't see too many cases. Mm-hmm. We are number one in the world for deaths. And Brazil, number 2 in the world. I'm glad J&J and at least Pfizer did some, clinicals on Brazil, because that's pretty bad. So I think it's very important that we look at, we're going to go over everything, because remember, it's going to be different parts, and we're going to put it out there. Because I'm going to tell you something. This report, which you're going to give me that report, right? Let's get that report. This is kind of bad, because it's kind of like I should have brought this out first, because this report came out around the time that the blood clot thing came about. But I want to read it as in, we need to understand what really happened. So, yeah, let's look at that.
Stay tuned for the next episode. Leave a comment and share this video. Subscribe to get notifications for future episodes. Thanks for watching.